here's our ball roast. Okay, so this is the ball roast. Now you're gonna have a lot waste and you're gonna have a lot of hamburger in here. So it's up to you what you want to put into the hamburger. But I cut all this off. I get it down to the ball roast. You may gotta spin it around here, but you can separate the tissue and you can see where the muscles separate. It's pretty easy. You just have to work your blade and separate that. Okay. Everything looks really good. I mean, and that's pretty much, that's ready. That's it. Ball roasts are really easy. Just make sure it's free of hair. So we're ready to bag this ball roast up. We're gonna use a little bit bigger of a bag. The whole thing's going in. Here, we cut down, feel the bone. We're going around this, and it just peels right back. And then you have a gigantic chunk of round steak. This is all your steak. When you have your deer hanging head down, this is what comes off the very top. This is the ham, the rump, and this is one of the smaller of the two. So I just wanted to use this for an example. But you know, this stuff right here, you're going to want to cut all this stuff out, and you're also going to want to separate these into parts. And how you do that is you just simply just use your knife, and you can cut. You can just start cutting and separating this stuff. You wouldn't go perpendicular to the grain of the meat. You want to just try to get in here and cut this really thick silver skin membrane out. And once you get that out, then you're gonna want to, you can see how they already want to separate. And you can cut between these lines. It's probably easier if we go on the inside. And you'll see, now some of this stuff gets dirty because it's up there around where you're field dressing. So just be careful, and if you have any discoloration, you can always cut it away and, you know, save what you want. But once you have these pieces separated, it's a lot easier to cut. Okay, so there's one piece. And see, now this stuff I'm actually gonna get rid of because it got really dirty. And you just want to stick to the clean stuff. Get down to that clean stuff. Okay, so there's some grass on this one too. So you can see how just using the tip of the blade, this is all going to separate. I wouldn't actually cut that way, I would actually go the other way. Just like that. So you have that piece, this piece, and then you have this big ham piece. And what we'll do is we'll cut all this stuff and clean it up. Because a lot of this, like I said, just got dirty. And you can use this for hamburger. If you're not comfortable eating it, you can just discard it. But we're going to get it cleaned up here in a second. Okay, so it's starting to look a lot better. Getting this. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife, and that's what's really nice about that boning knife, is that we can actually get in there and start peeling this silver stuff off, this slimy And that's the difference between really tasty venison and just okay venison. When you take the time to cut this very thin layer off, the taste is just so much better. And I like to actually take my blade and work it. Okay, now this can all be hamburger. You know, some of this stuff, like I said, is just grass. And we're almost down to the bare meat here. Okay, so you can take the tip of the blade, and you can point it, and then you can get in there and peel that layer right off. Okay, looking really good. Now, if you don't want to go to this length, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, this venison's still going to taste good. But what I like to do is get down to that meat, get rid of all that slimy stuff. Like this right here, I'll try to get my blade in there and get rid of it. Now, what you're left with is just a terrific, tasty chunk of meat. Now this stuff right here, this is going in the hamburger grinder. That's where the hamburger grinder comes into handy, because it can get all those chunks going. Okay, so now we can just start making our steaks. And if you want, you can cut these into sections now where you can make easier steaks out of them. So you'll just start taking your side. What I do is I pick a favorite side where I can start slicing. I like this side a little bit more, and I can start cutting my steaks. You don't need a slicer. You can just cut these steaks just like this. And there's a little steak on the grill. Now remember, I mean, the United States, us Americans, we like big steaks. The old 69er from the Great Outdoors. But you really don't have to make your steaks that big. It's up to you. So you'll get used to working the blade, and you can, you know, cut your own steaks how you want. Still gonna get another steak out of this. I don't like how that looks, so I'm gonna cut that out. And then I'll cut right in the middle. You know, if you have a small piece, you can always butterfly souffle it. Like this. And there's our steaks. This already wants to separate right here. You can see how those are separate muscles. Got a little piece of hair right there. Okay, so if you don't like how this looks right here, hamburger. I mean, that a lot of people just like that 1-inch steak just like that. So, but I'm actually going to turn it into 2 steaks. Just like that. And what I'll do with this is I'll butterfly souffle it, and I'll turn it into a steak. What I do is take the shoulder and just start separating it from the body. And really that's all you have to do, is just keep slicing in the armpit, and eventually it'll start to separate and the whole wing will come off. Just keep going. There it is. In the cooler. Okay, so here's a front shoulder, and you can take your time and spend time cutting out the individual parts and muscles, but I got this idea from a processor and I watched them do it, and they just turn these shoulders into roasts. So all you do is you simply cut down the bone. You're going to use your knife, cut down the bone, and once you hit it, you're just going to turn and now go down the bone again. So you've turned this whole front shoulder into a quick roast, and you can take this back piece and put that in with the roast as well. And that's how we've always did our front shoulders. It's very, very quick, and then you can take your time and cut the rest of these pieces out into your burger. But I'll do a front shoulder roast right there. Neck roast. Okay, the neck roast. Now, this is going to be 2 to 3 pieces alone. It's going to be a lot like a shoulder roast in the sense that it's just going to be these giant pieces. So what you'll do is you'll cut down one side, and you cut down the other. Oh my goodness. And you'll just continue to peel, and there's one roast right there. Neck roast. And as you work your way around, you have 2 giant neck roasts. We're going to take the knife and feel the spine right next to it. And there's our back strap. Okay, so also wanted to mention, so I have a tray to put the steaks in. So these are both back straps. We're done with the back straps. But I also have a little tub, and I got these little ice trays that I put the trays on so it just stays cold. And I also like to put a top on it. But this is little pieces that I round the steak out with, and these all go in the hamburger grinder. So lastly, I have one tray full of waste. This is all the silver skin. You can try to get most of the meat off this. You'll probably do a little bit better job than me, but this is all mostly silver skin. So I have my hamburger and then my steaks.